Welcome, everybody, to Gilharmonic on Violinist.com. I'm Laurie Niles, founder of Violinist.com.
And I'm Gil Shaham. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this. It's a beautiful midsummer day.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the day.
In New York. Yes. Welcome to Gilharmonic, the happiest hour of violin on the internet. Laurie, I had a thought about Gilharmonic.
What's that?
The Gilharmonic is a no-fret zone. You just leave your worries behind and you enjoy violin music.
No frets. Get it, everybody? No frets. No.
So I want to do a quick shout out to my brother-in-law, David Robertson. Today is David's birthday. I hope you're having a great day out there, David.
Now, your brother is a conductor, and he's married to your sister, Orly, yeah?
That's right. And Orly's a pianist. And in fact, they just broadcast David's performance of Porgy and Bess on PBS. They just did that Friday. Some of you may know him from that video that went around, the Bolero. I don't know.
You were talking about the Juilliard video that had something like 200 students and faculty members and Itzhak Perlman and like all these wonderful people. Yeah, I felt like that was so perfect to make us, to conjure up that quarantine feeling. Nothing like Bolero that repeats over and over, like Groundhog Day, kind of like we're feeling. I love that. Was wonderful.
Yeah, I thought it was so well done. I thought it was a very moving video.
Check it out, you guys, if you haven't seen that on YouTube.
And I'm very excited for this hour too, Laurie. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, we've got Jasmine Li from Los Angeles, and she's very talented.
Do not adjust your sets. You're not seeing double. Jasmine will play both violin and piano for the Kabalevsky Concerto. Then we'll hear Banjo and Fiddle.
That's right, from Samantha Washecka from Austin, Texas. And then a really big treat. We've got Kelly Hall-Tompkins. She was the violinist in Fiddler on the Roof for more than 400 performances on Broadway, and she's going to play for us today, and it's just a real treat.
That's a remarkable performance. That's going to be amazing. Yeah. So
if you are watching live, please tell all your friends to join us. We are on YouTube Live today, not on Facebook Live. Join the live chat. If you want to join the live chat, go directly to YouTube for that. And this will be available after the broadcast if you want to share it with people. So, hey, let's get started.
Our first two guests today is a 13-year-old from Los Angeles. She's a student of Margaret Lysy. She attends the Seoul Music Academy and is a member of the Colburn School String Orchestra. Besides being a ballerina and an artist and writer and swimmer, Jasmine Li does the amazing feat of playing violin and piano at the same time. And we're going to hear her play the Kabalevsky Violin Concerto. Jasmine, take it away. Wow.
Oh my goodness. That was an amazing feat and well played. It was so, you were so together with your accompanist.
Yes.
And I mean,
it's like they were of one mind,
it
mind.
is. Hi, Jasmine. Good to see you. You know, the first thing I have to do was first congratulate you because this was a lovely performance. And I wanted to ask you, how did you do that? You know, sort of technologically, and then how did you stay, you know, because this, I've done like a couple of these and they're not that easy to keep together.
Well, I used, you know, this thing called AirPods.
Oh, okay. I wondered.
And
I was looking, I didn't see AirPods.
because it was in the other ear.
Oh,
Clever.
do you and your pianist, do you guys get along or do you fight? How are rehearsals?
We get along as long as I give her cookies.
Cookies.
Well done. Well done, Jasmine.
And how long have you been playing? Like, did you start piano first or violin first, or how did that work?
Violin first.
But I always wonder about that because I feel like when you study, the truth is, I'm envious of anybody who can play piano. I've always wanted to learn piano, and maybe, you know, another lifetime. But I feel like maybe for very beginners starting out with violin, maybe that's very frustrating, like learning to ride a bike going uphill. And for pianists, maybe it's a little less frustrating at the very beginning, and then maybe the frustration level flips over. Maybe what is it like for you studying both instruments?
I started piano first, and then violin, like, I don't know, 4 years after. I started piano at 6, and it was definitely easier to start violin afterwards since I already know the parts from both books.
Yeah.
And like now during COVID times, do you find yourself doing more violin or more piano?
Well, I think I do more violin, although usually it's both.
Is this, have you done any others where you've accompanied yourself? No. I'm curious, did it take a lot of takes? Did you have to do it? Yeah. That's not surprising.
Beautiful result. Beautiful result. Really. How did you come to choose the Kabalevsky Concerto?
Well, my teacher actually chose it for me, but then after I heard it, I was like, wow, this piece is really cool. Because, like, I've heard it many times before I played it, so I was, like, looking forward to starting it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think the piece is really cool. And I have played it in the past, too.
It has a ton of rhythmic drive to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like at the very beginning, you know, Gil and I were actually talking about the beginning of this piece and how it has, well, you know, not to get too complicated, but like a hemiola at the beginning, and it kind of drives the energy of it. Gil, you should tell, you know, what you were talking about with me.
I mean, Jasmine, do you know the word hemiola?
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever read those older books that call it hemiolia? Have you ever seen that, Laurie, where they put an I before the last A? They say hemiolia. I don't know. It sounds, even hemiola.
But it's a hemiola. For those of you who may not know in the audience, it's sort of like da 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 da. The da 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 is the hemiola. Am I right about that?
Right. So there's ambiguity. Something could be 2 groups of 3, or it could be 3 groups of 2. Right. So it could be dum da da da. Oh wait, let me get this in the dum da 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 dum dum. Wait, let's see. Or it could be, and that kind of gives it the groove. But I think maybe more interesting if we talk about that first phrase. I think it's very cool and very classical. Let's break it down. Let's break down the first phrase. So, you know, you have the first 2 bars, right? And then you have the next two bars. They feel like they're going to imitate but they actually chin. And really what we've done is we've gone up from a C to a D. And it took us 4 bars. And then the next 2 bars you have, right? And it's repeat. This one is repeated. But what's interesting here is each time when you go from the E flat to the E, and that's very beautiful, you know, the major, minor, it's a cool color. But that takes 2 bars. So we had a 4-bar group, then we have 2 2-bar groups. And then we're waiting for it to repeat again. And it does repeat, but right in diminution, it gets, instead of 2 bars, it takes us 1 bar. And then the next steps up take like 2/3 of a bar. Or sorry, that's what I meant. So it gets faster and faster and faster until we reach the high C, you know, and that's really, we achieve the high C. And that's a very classical thing, you know, things get faster and faster and faster until you reach your goal, your dominant chord, or, you know, so that's why often at the end of a phrase, you'll have a, you'll have a trill or something. Something will get faster and faster and faster, and then you reach it.
And then it's got that da 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 da, you know, da 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 da.
Yeah, I hear that hemiolia there too. Do you want to play that first phrase?
Sure.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. It sounds
You
so
know what
triumphant.
I loved the high note, right, Laurie? Because you held it long. And when I used to have lessons with my teacher, he'd always say, "Sing it, Gil, sing it." And I'd be like, you know, I'd be standing, he'd be sitting there. I was a little kid, and I'd be like, "What are you talking about? Sing it. I'm trying to play violin here." Like,
That was
what?
not in my contract when I signed up for violin lessons that you were going to make me sing. I did not
Singing.
sign up for this.
Nobody wants to hear me sing, you know. But I do think reaching the highest note, that's a very vocal thing. And you know, if you hear singers, they'll reach the high note, and then suddenly it's like they don't know rhythm, you know. Suddenly they lose any sense of rhythm, and everybody's just like, "Oh, the singers hit the high note. Let's stop everything." No, actually, that's not how you feel, but they do hold on to it, and everybody goes crazy.
Everybody wants them to, actually. Yeah.
Like in the national anthem, right? When you go to hear national anthem at the sports game and they hit the high note, they hold it, the crowd goes well. Anyway, I love how you did that now. When you reach the so good.
Well, it's been so nice to talk with you, Jasmine.
Me too.
Yeah, great playing. Keep up the good work.
And now I'd like to introduce Samantha Washecka. She's 15 years old, and she's from Round Rock, Texas. She started playing the violin when she was just 2 years old, and currently she is a student of William Fedkenheuer from the Miró Quartet. She is going to play Banjo and Fiddle by William Kroll, and she will be accompanied by pianist Alex Menegre.
Yes.
Well done. Well done.
So great, Samantha. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Such
You know,
great, clean, refined. Hi, Samantha.
Hi.
Really enjoyed it.
and you're playing it with you're playing it with so much flair, and I love like the way your vibrato is working and everything.
You
What
made your listeners happy. You made
I
your
know.
listeners happy.
And so what are you thinking about? You know, what does this piece bring to mind for you?
Well, I feel like the first character is more of a cheerful, bouncy character. And then when I get into the second section, it's more of a melancholy, bittersweet character, but with still some foreshadowing of the next section when it goes back to how it sounds at the beginning.
Yeah. And is this, you know, what kind of, like, where do you envision these people? Like, what's the setting sort of for you?
Maybe out in the countryside, just someone playing a banjo and someone playing a fiddle and improvising, just out in the middle of the country, on a porch somewhere.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I feel like I kind of think of that too, you know?
Absolutely. I love this piece. This is such a great piece, you know, and it really is like you couldn't change one note. It's so perfect, but it feels like it's an improvisation, right? A little bit.
Well, and I feel like the most improvisy part might be that slow part, you know? It gets very, very sentimental. And I think, I mean, actually, Gil and I started doing a little deep dive into like what the markings were and everything. Gil, you wanted to talk about that?
Well, no, I mean,
you probably know too, Samantha, right?
You know, I feel like I mentioned René Morel before on the show. So, you know, I guess maybe as a kid, I must have spent a lot of time at the Jacques Francais rare violins shop where René Morel worked. And I remember him talking about this piece. He said that William Kroll used to come into the shop. And he said he was just such a kind man. He was just, he said he was a very classy gentleman. And he would
That's
come
the
in.
composer of this piece, yeah.
And he was a violinist himself. And I think he played a Strad, and he would come into the shop. And the way Mr. Morel would say, the way René would say it, he would say, every time he came in, I'd say, come on, Bill or William, I forget, but he'd say, come on, play me a little of that banjo and fiddle. I love that. And that's exactly how I feel about it. So yeah, we're talking with Samantha Washecka here about the Banjo and Fiddle by William Kroll. And we were talking about the middle section. Do you know what all, I mean, I guess he really was a very classy guy. He writes a very American banjo and fiddle, but he puts all these fancy Italian words.
Yeah.
Do you know what these words are at the middle motto?
Well, I know off the top of my head, piangendo.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, the one at the very end of that second section there.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah,
Oh,
piangendo means
what does it mean?
Oh, I think it means crying out.
crying. I actually wondered if do you mind exaggerating that? Do you mind doing that part again? Isn't.
Let's see if you can make it
violinist. I don't know. I personally think like you could maybe vibrate more on every one of those. What do you think,
like
Laurie?
Yeah, like make those vibrato tears.
Oh, the pain.
and then I was also thinking like the other parts of it, right? The beginning of the da da da. You have this so well under control. I think you could play with it even more, like especially without a pianist there, right? No. But
and actually, if you look at the piano part, that has the words that we don't have in our violin part, but it says for the pianist, "cola parte," right? Mm-hmm. Not to be confused with Pepsi Cola part, Coca-Cola part.
Coca-Cola, yeah.
I never really know what that means. Cola part. I guess it means with the part, or I think it means.
I know what it means. It means pianist. You have to follow the violin, and she has to do whatever she wants. So
don't fall apart, right? I think that's what it means. Yeah. So I think whenever pianists see that, they're like, oh, the singer or the violin, whoever it is, they're gonna start messing with the rhythm. So
do. But I don't know. I mean, there's lots of different ways you could do it there. Yeah, Gil. He's an expert.
Maybe that's the part where he writes the cola part. Do you want to try from that beginning of the Menon also? It sounds great. I imagine like Frank Sinatra and the band, and they're all keeping the beat, and he's just like, he's Frank Sinatra, and then he lands on the maybe 3 bars later, they line up the downbeat, and it's I guess also maybe that B flat. What happens is we don't know what the harmony is. It's like, where are we going? Where are we going? And then suddenly we know on the B flat. I think we can sprinkle a little magic on the B flat. And I guess the other word there, this is the part of the show where I mispronounce foreign words. And I believe it's something like lusingevole, which reminds me of a marking from the Brahms Violin Concerto where he writes lusingando. And I guess it means, if you look up the translation, it means flattering or satisfying. And when I asked people about the Brahms Concerto, I remember lusingando, they said, oh, this is a very typical Viennese Italian. Lusingando means flattering, but kind of with an edge, like all the words are coming out very flattering, but underneath, we're not sure what the person is thinking. I don't know if that's the case here. Maybe this is more.
Are you talking about the part that's like, yeah?
It actually has it on the first bar on the da.
Yeah.
What do you think? If you had that marking, flattering or satisfying, what would that mean to that first phrase?
I think it would mean that I could play around with it even more with the vibrato and the dynamics there.
Go for it. Play around. Yeah.
Oh, you play with so much beautiful feeling. It's really lovely, and variety to your vibrato. It's nice. Now, does anybody mind though if I ask Gil a question? Because I heard something. I understand, Gil, that you played this on the David Letterman show. This piece, the David Letterman show, and with kind of an interesting accompanist.
It's true. I mean, I love this piece. I think it's really great. Is it the most famous piece that William Kroll wrote? I guess it.
I mean, sometimes you might think it's the only one. It's not the only one he wrote, but.
No,
most famous.
Donkey Doodle, right? Didn't he
Donkey
write that?
Doodle.
Donkey.
Yes.
Um,
The lesser known Donkey Doodle.
I did. I played this on the Letterman show, maybe I want to say 25 years ago, and I had the audacity, to ask Paul Schaefer. You might not know this show, but I asked Paul Schaefer if he would play with me.
He was famously sort of the band leader for that show.
He was the band leader, incredibly talented guy. He used to be, was he on Saturday Night Live?
Kind of more of a jazzer, right?
Amazing. And so I got to go to his New York apartment, Lincoln Center, and we rehearsed. And then we went on the Letterman show and we played Banjo and Fiddle. And then at the end, Letterman turned to Paul Schaefer and he said, we've been doing this show for so many years. That was the most impressive thing I'd seen you do the whole time. Yeah, so very nice memory for me.
Samantha, do you have anything you'd like to ask Gil?
So when you play a piece you've played many times, and how is that different from when you go on stage and you play a piece that you played maybe only a couple of times?
Oh, that's a great question. How do you feel? What would you say?
I would say for me, sometimes for me, I still have a lot of nerves going on to play something that I played many times, but it feels more comfortable for me.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's really, what do you think, Laurie?
Well, sometimes it's like an old friend if you're playing something very well,
That's exactly what
and then sometimes it's a new friend where you're like, I'm not sure how they're going to react, if it's a new piece, but.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's really like people, and it's funny. People sometimes say, do you get tired of playing the same thing? But usually like rock concerts or other types of concerts, people love hearing the music that they know or like songs that have been hits for 30 years. It really is like friendships. I think people relate to music kind of the same way they relate to other people.
Yeah, if you get really sick of a friend, I don't know if that's really, yeah.
I suppose that could happen. Thank you so much, Samantha. Keep up the great work.
Such a pleasure to work with you, Samantha.
Thank you. It was an honor to work with you too.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
We are so happy today to be welcoming Kelly Hall-Tompkins, who is a fantastic violin soloist, but not only that, she was the fiddler on Fiddler on the Roof for Broadway for more than 400 performances. Kind of amazing. She also founded something called Music Kitchen, Food for the Soul, which has given more than 100 classical concerts at homeless shelters. Right now, and she's also a faculty member at the Manhattan School of Music. Right now, she's going to be playing her Fiddler Rhapsody from her album, The Fiddler Expanding Tradition. Wow.
Kelly Hall-Tompkins, everybody. Amazing. I love that, Laurie.
I feel like I just took like a trip through the entire musical.
Oh, when she does the sunrise, I was just swaying back. There you are. Hey, Kelly.
Hi there. So
Nice
great to be
to
with
see
you
you.
both.
Oh, and tell us where you're coming to us from.
I am currently in the Poconos. I live in Manhattan, but I'm out here at my house here.
Right.
Well,
For the time being.
You sound like $1,000,000. Thank you so much
Aw,
for that.
Thank you.
And the Yiddish in the Shoma, the Jewish soul.
My blood. Yeah.
It's one thing to deliver the lines, Laurie, right? But it's like to nail the accent, to nail the feel. Great, great, great.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a joy for me. That music is a joy.
Well, and after 400 performances, I mean, that's a lot of performances. So, what was it like at about like 150 performances? Like,
every night, that was the one thing I had always kind of avoided Broadway, but when somebody invites you to be the fiddler for Fiddler on the Roof, or the actual violin soloist rather, it was this unique life experience, and I knew like everything, I just really poured myself into it. And I had the benefit of just, first of all, they wrote solos for me that don't typically exist in the Broadway. So I had this clay to mold. And then I had an incredible company of actors that were so inspiring every night. And there were solos in the Broadway show that was just, that were just me alone in the theater responding musically to something that had just happened. And so I literally poured myself every night into matching the appropriate nuances. And, Danny Bernstein, who played Artevia, was, he just was so versatile and so nuanced. And I thrived really in joining him in that exploration of nuance and color. And so it never got boring. I really, I had engagements that I would have to go away occasionally to play. And I hated to be away, actually. I hated, because we got into this rhythm as a company. And every night I would try to go further and render the music the way I thought it should be heard. So it never got boring. It was exhausting, but it never got boring. And it was just such a joy. It was one of the greatest joys of my life, really. And to be soloist every night of the week, there's really nothing else, that I had experienced quite like that. So everything else that I did that year benefited, including like the US premiere of the Siegfried Matus Concerto that I did with the Oakland Symphony, and everything that I did benefited from just the artistic laboratory of getting able to play and explore night after night after night. I loved it.
I love that score. That's Jerry Buck, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But the arrangements, I guess I've played like a John Williams arrangement
Yes.
of this piece, but you've recorded, and on this show you've played. Can you talk about the arrangements that you were playing?
Yes. So basically, after it was really fairly soon into the project that I started to feel something unique come out of me from this experience. I wrote an arrangement for solo violin of If I Were a Rich Man. Oh. And I thought to myself, I think I want to go further with this. I think there's a whole program. And so I worked with the collaborators, the creative team from our production, to co-create the first ever full album of fiddler solo pieces. And I recorded that on, my album, The Fiddler Expanding Tradition. So I thoroughly enjoyed living with this music. And as if 8 shows, 8 performances a week were not enough, I went further. And now I still tour this solo album.
Did you create those? Were you composing those as well? Or did you work with someone? Or?
I worked with the creative team. So there were arrangers for our production. Iran Eldor and our music director, Ted Sperling, were the arrangers for our production. I went to them both and I said, hey, this is in my soul. This is something I want to do. Would you like to work with me on this? And for each of the arrangements, I had something unique in mind. Like I didn't want it to just be, okay, the violin now plays the melody that we all know. I wanted it to be, everything about that Broadway show became part of me. Every facial expression, every nuance, every color, every dance choreography step, everything, it sort of became part of me. And I wanted to render our Anatevka in this series of arrangements. And so I worked with Iran and Ted, but you'll hear lots of my notes all over these. There's a lot of my, basically everything that goes out of the third position and harmonics and ricochets and the Tchaikovsky concerto figure that you hear at the end there. I mean, those sorts of things, those sorts of flourishes are mine.
You put your stamp on it.
Yeah, well, just to make it, to really make it, it's almost like this voice that wants to speak, and what does it want to say? And I just opened myself to writing those flourishes the way I thought they really would bring the pieces to life.
There's so much to talk about with Kelly Hall-Tompkins here. I just want to ask you very quickly, if you don't mind telling us and everybody here about Music Kitchen.
Yes. So I founded in 2005, I founded Music Kitchen Food for the Soul to bring top artists in concert in homeless shelters. Gil, I'd love to have you sometime, but we've had...
Count me in.
Oh, excellent. We have, Manny Axe has been a big proponent of the program since the very beginning. We've presented over 100 performances, over 200 top artists, and reached an estimated 30,000 shelter clients.
And you started it a long time ago, though, right? I mean, this is not just like something that happened yesterday, right?
No, this is not a fly-by-night operation. This is our 15th anniversary season. And to celebrate that, I created a project to celebrate all of the 30,000 shelter clients that we have reached, basically taking the free-form feedback that they have written about our concerts, and I engaged 15 composers to set those words into a song cycle called Forgotten Voices. Of course, we are making Forgotten Voices heard. And I'm really excited. We're partnering with Carnegie Hall to play the premiere of that cycle when the world gets back on its axis.
Right, because it was scheduled for this May, right? You were going to this May. It will happen.
It will happen. Yeah.
And I guess hopefully it'll happen soon. And so we all get to hear Forgotten Voices. And we also wanted to ask you about Midsummer Night's Stream.
Yes. So interesting that you should ask about hearing some of the Forgotten Voices, because we are launching next week a music festival, Music Kitchen's first ever virtual music festival, to share some of the performances. It's a rare glimpse into our concerts in the shelters. No one but the homeless clients that we were playing for get to see those, and some of the news coverage that we've had. But we will have performances every Wednesday for 5 Wednesdays starting next week, the 22nd, July 22nd. And we will play some of the performances of standard repertoire chamber music and some of the Forgotten Voices songs. And most of the composers, most of the 15 composers and 10 artists that are involved in that project. So you'll get to meet them and ask them questions, about why they chose the text that they chose and what the experience was of rendering these pieces in the shelter and all of that cool stuff.
Oh, that is so wonderful. It's wonderful that you've been doing that all these years. But I have to selfishly ask, you said that you had made an arrangement of Rich Man. I suppose, could you play that for us just to sort of send us off today?
Absolutely. I would be delighted. And, I tracked closely with Sheldon Harnick's words. So listen out for the birds, the staircase going up, the staircase going down, and another one just for show.
Ooh. Thank you so much for being with us, Kelly.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Hope to see you in person soon and work.
Definitely. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been such a pleasure.
So great.
I loved that. And I heard the stairway going up and the stairway going down. And that's such an iconic piece of music from that show.
How lucky were we to hear Kelly play Fiddler on the Roof for us.
Absolutely. I love that.
And
and I feel like, oh, go ahead.
She owns this piece. I think she might literally own these arrangements of the piece, but metaphorically, she's played it so many times. She has so much experience with it. Yeah, that she owns it. She owns it.
Well, and I feel like coming away today, I have an image of a fiddler on the roof, but I also have an image of a fiddler on a porch playing banjo and fiddle. So It was wonderful to have Samantha Washecka playing for us and that piece. And then also Jasmine too.
Yes, both Jasmines.
Right.
Laurie, we had a question about, is the sheet music arrangement of Fiddler on the Roof available for purchase? I don't know.
We will have to ask. We will have to ask Kelly, but we'll post something if it is.
I also had another question about arrangements by Roberts Baliness earlier.
Right. Yes.
Either.
If it happens, we'll have a little party on Violinist.com and give you the link. But we have another show lined up for you next week, and so I'd like to tell you about that. We've got Kayla Walker, and she is 14 years old. She's going to join us from Virginia Beach and play some DeBarrio. And then we have a whole family, 4 kids in the Brashear family. They call themselves the Stars Aligned Siblings. So they're going to play for us.
And they are a quartet.
Yes.
Of 4 people.
Very young. And then also Stuart Duncan.
Very young. And master musician, master violinist, master fiddler, Stuart Duncan. I'm super excited to have him.
And he just finished a collaboration, the Goat Rodeo, the second album of that, and it's a collaboration with Yo-Yo Ma and Chris Thiele and Edgar Meyer. And so they called this one the Not Our First Goat Rodeo, which I love the name of that.
Right. That's an all-star quartet of 4 people,
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, it's going to be very exciting to have Stuart on with us. Yeah. I really enjoyed this hour, Laurie. It's been a great hour of violin on the no fret zone, Gilharmonic.
Yes, please be sure to join us next week. We're going to be streaming exclusively on YouTube. So join Violinist.com's YouTube channel for our episodes, and you can sign up for a reminder and follow us on Facebook, also Violinist.com and Gil Shaham. And this will be available after the live broadcast, so you can share it with your friends. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody.